There has been a lot of curiosity regarding the history of mankind, and food has been one of the important part in their growth. But, did you know there are certain recipes that have a rich history of their own? Here are some of the oldest known recipes of the world. The Linzer Torte is a traditional Austrian pastry that has a rich history and a delicious taste. It is named after the city of Linz, where it was first mass-produced in the early 19th century by a pastry chef named Johann Conrad Vogel. However, the recipe for the Linzer Torte is much older than that. It is considered to be the oldest cake recipe in the world, dating back to 1653, when it was found in a cookbook in the archive of Admont Abbey. The Linzer Torte is made of a crumbly shortbread dough with ground nuts, usually hazelnuts, walnuts or almonds, flavored with lemon zest and cinnamon. The dough is topped with a layer of fruit preserves, typically red currant, raspberry or apricot, and then covered with a lattice of thin dough strips. The pastry is baked until golden and sprinkled with nuts. The Linzer Torte is a festive treat that is often enjoyed at Christmas time in Austria and other parts of Europe. It has also inspired a smaller cookie version called Linzer Augen, which means Linzer eyes, because of the cutout design that reveals the jam filling. Adobo is a dish that has a long and rich history in the Philippines. It is considered by many as the national dish of the country, although it has not been officially declared as such. Adobo comes from the Spanish word, adobar, which means to marinate or pickle, but the cooking method predates the Spanish colonization. The Filipinos already used vinegar and salt to preserve meat and fish in the tropical climate, and later added soy sauce, garlic, black pepper and other spices to enhance the flavor. Adobo can be made with different kinds of protein, such as pork, chicken, squid, fish or vegetables. The meat is browned in oil, then simmered in the marinade until tender and saucy. Adobo is usually served with steamed rice, and sometimes with boiled eggs or potatoes. Adobo has many regional variations, depending on the availability of ingredients and the preference of the cook. Some add coconut milk, sugar, liver, laurel leaves or chili peppers to their adobo. Adobo is a dish that reflects the diversity and creativity of Filipino cuisine. Frumenty is a dish that has a long history in Western European cuisine, especially in England. It is a type of porridge made from cracked wheat that is boiled with milk or broth, and sometimes enriched with eggs, almonds, currants, sugar, saffron and orange flower water. The name Frumenty comes from the Latin word frumentum, which means grain. Frumenty was a common food for peasants, but it was also served with meat, such as venison or porpoise, at banquets and feasts. Frumenty was also associated with certain occasions, such as Christmas, Mothering Sunday and sheep shearing. Frumenty is considered by some to be England's oldest national dish, and it has been mentioned in several literary works from the 14th century onwards. Frumenty has evolved over time and influenced other dishes, such as plum pudding and orzoto. Nettle pudding is one of the oldest dishes in the world, dating back to 6000 BCE in England. It is made with stinging nettles, a wild plant that has many uses and benefits, and other ingredients such as barley flour, suet, onions, herbs and spices. The pudding is cooked in a pot or wrapped in an animal intestine and boiled in stock or stew. The result is a nutritious and filling dish that has a mousse-like texture and a mild flavor. Nettle pudding was a staple of the Stone Age diet and was also eaten by the Romans, who introduced it to other parts of Europe. Nettle pudding is still enjoyed today by some people who appreciate its history and health benefits. The history of meat pie goes back to ancient times, when people used flour and water to make pastry shells that could preserve meat for a long time. The Greeks and Romans filled their pies with various meats, fish, and shellfish, but they did not eat the hard crust. In medieval Europe, the pies became taller and were called coffins or coffins. The pastry was still tough and inedible, and was often given to the poor or used to thicken soups. Only the rich could afford to bake pies in ovens. It was not until the Victorian era that pies became popular street food for all classes. Today, meat pies are found in many cuisines around the world, with different fillings and flaky crusts. The history of roast boar is a long and fascinating one, spanning across different continents and cultures. Roast boar is a dish that involves cooking a wild pig, usually over an open fire or in an oven. Roast boar was probably invented in Europe or Asia, especially in China, where pigs were domesticated thousands of years ago. One of the oldest written references to roast boar comes from the Roman cookbook Apicius, which dates back to the 1st century AD. Roast boar was also a popular dish among medieval nobility and royalty, who enjoyed hunting wild boars in the forests. Roast boar is still eaten today in many parts of the world, especially during festive occasions such as Christmas or New Year. Haejang-guk is a traditional Korean soup that is eaten as a hangover cure. The name means soup to chase a hangover, and it is also called sulguk. Haejang-guk has various types depending on the region and the ingredients, but it usually consists of vegetables, meat, and coagulated blood in a beef broth. Some common varieties are Seonji-guk, which contains sliced ox blood, and Sundae-guk, which contains blood sausage. Haejang-guk is believed to have originated from Seongjutang, a soup to get sober that was mentioned in a Chinese manual published in the late Goryeo dynasty, from year 918 to 1392. Haejang-guk was not only popular among commoners, but also among high-ranking officials who ordered it as a delivery food or a bribe after a night of drinking. Haejang-guk is one of the oldest known recipes of the world, dating back to around 900 CE. Lentil soup is a dish that has a long and rich history, dating back to ancient times. Lentils are one of the oldest cultivated plants, and were found in archaeological sites in Greece, Syria, Turkey, and Egypt. Lentils were considered a delicacy by some cultures, such as the ancient Egyptians, and a staple food by others, such as the Romans and the Greeks. Lentil soup is made with different types of lentils, such as green, brown, red, yellow, or black, and various vegetables and spices. Lentil soup is nutritious, filling, and flavorful, and can be enjoyed in different ways around the world.